like that, but just, is there an advantage to it? Do we have some plan for that piece of ground that's just waiting for us to pull the trigger on and do? I'm looking to the public and I'm looking to my fellow selectmen.
I mean, that cost is out there a lot. Is there should be a committee formed, possibly one from the select board, maybe one from the ABC and planning board, and somebody from their group, and get half a dozen, 8 people together, and actually figure out what we want to do with that place.
Matt Saxon's been talking about that quite a bit in terms of jumping on it with the planning board.
But they have the map.
The town, the town did decide to keep the capital reserve fund for town hall, and they did also decide to buy it to begin with.
Yep.
And I understand your question, and it's a good question, but it's a really big picture question. It doesn't really do much for us as far as our planning goes. I mean, the only difference between winning and losing, to be honest with you, was our ability to fundraise. And I would have only been able to fundraise if, even after that warrant article, if it did pass, if 2 out of the 3 you said yes. Because you had every right to say no on every warrant.
Right.
You could still say, no, we're not going to do that.
Yeah, understand.
So I appreciate the big picture. If that's what's your hitch, is that we could develop a section of it. I mean, that could be 2-3 years, and then some, who the hell knows. Is there anything a little smaller, a little more immediate?
Well, what I'm trying to do to allow you all inside the mind of Chris Regan, I'm trying to start out big, and I'm trying to work our way down and identify some of these hitches, some of these concerns, some of these plans, because frankly, I don't know, and I'm looking for ideas on this. To me, the number one question is should the town continue to own it? And if we do, I've got lots of people raising their hands now. Yeah. And if the answer in general is probably not, then we move to we'll peel off that layer of the onion and move to the next one. Go ahead.
I think when Lou Beam was in here talking quite a while ago, he had mentioned that...
Sorry, can't hear.
We had a fellow from Langdon, Lou Beam, was in here, and he was, I think, on a committee that was looking into this, and quote me if I'm wrong, but I thought he mentioned that there might be other properties, because he said if Alstead didn't have a piece that they wanted to give, that they would look to purchase a piece. Have they looked? Are there other properties that
we're looking at a lot of options. The best place is right there. And what I'm asking for is I missed by 21 votes. I had 0 support, save 1 brave member of the ABC, and I missed by 21. And I had 1 selectman, then I had 2 selectmen, then I had no selectmen. So, I mean, I think that the support is here. We are going to continue to look at other things, but we've only got so much time and so much, resource, and I want to direct my focus at the most likely thing. And if the most likely thing is not that space, I mean, you're talking about a warrant article. Should we even own it? Okay, that's another year.
No. Well, let me ask my next question. If the answer to this is no, and I'm looking, I guess, to Linda and anybody else who knows town law better than I do, is a warrant required to dispose of land?
Yes.
Dispose of it? I can sell it.
No, you can sell it on the
You can
side.
sell it. I can't
You
sell it.
passed that.
But you had a warrant article
Right.
where the townspeople bought that.
Right. And
To
they
sell
bought
that without checking or having a vote, or at least a couple of public hearings.
See what you're saying? Oh, yeah.
Legal doesn't equal politically
Expedient or
safe.
moral. Yeah. Okay. That answers my second question.
We had people that actually went out and put money down on it and waited for quite a while.
They
Sure,
held it. They held it for the town.
they held it for the town.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
My question is, regardless of what the taxpayers want, you guys have pretty much the ultimate upper...
Oh, I disagree with that.
Yeah,
Okay,
the taxpayers
well-
already spoken.
In New Hampshire and New England in general, the voter reigns supreme.
Okay, so the voters reign supreme.
And I
But the select board puts on the warrant article whether they support something or not. So I guess the question for me is, and maybe Mike will appreciate this, is if we get the voter support, or what do we need to do to get the 3 select boards support? What do you need from us
I
to
don't,
have you help support it?
well,
Or are you not in support of?
My main issue with the whole thing was a parcel of property. It wasn't spelled out, this piece, we don't have a plan over there. How do we know?
Right. And that's fair, and that's something I can work with. I can totally live with that. That's not unreasonable. I'd like to think that between the people that are involved in this, we could have worked that out after the fact pretty honestly. I think we're good enough neighbors that could have happened. But if that's what needs to happen first, that's a perfectly reasonable thing to look at and to do. I have no issue with that. That's a meat and potatoes, black line thing that we can work with. That's what I'm kind of looking for. Not that the big picture stuff isn't important, I get that.
no. But I think that was the view shared by all of us on the board last year, that it was very vague, and open to interpretation. So, yeah, absolutely, that would be
So that's one
the
thing.
first thing.
You want to know what piece of property, or you want to?
Piece of property, we ought to have it, has it been surveyed?
It partially, but we really need to finish the survey. I have got a price coming to finish it.
How about like a traffic study
That's
for that
one thing
intersection?
I remember that was
You
said.
do it.
I know it's,
It's because the state was,
You could do it. I mean, it's not an issue. I'm not worried at all about a traffic study.
What about a site plan?
Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and this is where we kind of go back to that thing, does it make sense to get the planning board working with other boards and stuff like that? Priscilla, I'm not sure who raised their hand, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that on the budget committee, the discussion was around the use of the term donate versus lease. So I think that's something to also look into.
100-year lease.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at.
But only goes back to the town. Pay everything well.
that was a concern,
How
yeah.
How about
There
that?
are things you do on a site plan.
Oh, I don't wanna go before.
I'm gonna say me here. Yes, please, go ahead.
Yeah, well, as a taxpayer in town and having my tax money go to buy that land, I would rather see it go back on our tax rolls and have it, I mean, why are we giving it away? We bought this land. If we aren't going to use it for for the town, why are we holding on to it?
Okay, David?
I think the answer to your question is that we never initiated a planning study for the use of that land. And this I think is the source of the whole problem. The land was purchased by private folks to hold it for the town so the town could buy it, because there was a vision at that time of perhaps a town hall, a public safety building, a conglomeration of services in a beautiful piece of land right in the downtown. Now that sort of gone by the board a bit. We had talked about a nature trail and walk up to Pilot's Pool and a variety of other possibilities. The trouble is, in my opinion, the select board never appointed a committee to develop a plan, working with the planning board, to establish the best possible uses of that land, and then have a public hearing, which would get public input as to what people would like to do with it. Now, it could well be that they would say, let's sell it and divide it up into house lots. I don't know. But until we have some semblance of a plan, it's going to be very difficult to talk. The problem that the food shelf faces is that until you have a piece of land, you can't raise money, because people don't want to donate to nothing unless they have some certainty. And if you don't have funds, it's very difficult to hire an architect and develop plans that can then be judged by the public. So it's a chicken and egg kind of.
I understand.
So my thing is this, is to try to bring it down again, is plan for the food shelf versus plan for the property. Okay. So during public hearings 2-3 years ago, people wanted to talk about a basic master plan sketch for, a new town hall and new stuff out there, we're gonna draw it up. And then the year of the 19.7 hit, and then we couldn't talk about anything, and still haven't been able to talk about anything about the future since. So, what I'm looking for is the planning that would be asked of the food shop. Could it be, more accurately, because I don't want to pin you down to everything right now, that would be unfair. But are we trying to section off this area and go, this is the area that we're most interested in? Start with that, right now, that's the section we're most interested in. Okay, everybody walk over there, that's the section we're most interested in. Keep planning that section. Because I'll be honest with you, I don't have the resources or time to figure out a new this and a new that. I mean, I do find it intriguing that one year, the same year we're talking about all the things that we could do over there, the exact same year we're trying to flush the fund for the town hall. The only thing that anybody's ever really for certain talked about being over there. So, I mean, it doesn't seem to be the will to do anything but quite the opposite. And quite honestly, nobody's been interested in what's gone on over there at all, except for Matt Saxon, who's tired of us stockpiling crap. Until somebody actually wanted to do something, now there's all kinds of interest.
Right.
So, not saying that everybody's issues aren't their own issues, but I'm just trying to focus on what we can or can't do and where we need to focus the little bit of resources and time that we have.
Okay. So I'm going to ask these guys a question and go ahead if it's brief.
Yeah, it's brief. I think the budget committee had one other perspective too, that it went beyond the initial planning. Once that building, should it come to fruition, be put there, who's maintaining the lawn, who's plowing the pavement, who's paying the electricity and all of that stuff. I think those are answers that, need to be answered.
And that's reasonable as long as we're talking about the food shelf, not 16 acres of what might be here someday.
Okay. So how, this was my thought, and I know I ran it past you briefly. Not the strip mall, I kind of thought the strip mall idea could go by the wayside. But I like the idea of getting the planning board together, maybe with somebody from this board.
You notice that you don't have a lot of comment voluntarily coming from your side.
I'm throwing out ideas here, that's all I'm doing.
We're letting you hang here.
Feel free.
The thing is,
Can I finish my thought?
yeah.
Yeah. Could we get some group of people together to figure out a plan for the property and I guess the feasibility of carving out a portion of that could be leased to the food shelf, not purchased or not donated. That seems like that might be.
What about purchased?
Purchased by the food shelf? Sure. Leased or purchased?
Okay.
I'm just throwing out ideas, and now I'm looking for debate. That's my idea. And with the intent
One
that.
by 16 acres.
Yes.
If I had it, it had been built 3 years ago.
With the hope that we could either sell immediately or put up for sale remaining parcels of whatever they're suited for, and I don't know.
The thing is, the piece they want is going to totally ruin the use of the rest.
With all due respect, no one knows the piece we want, including us.
Well, where you're at, where the
Piece we want has not been determined.
Okay.
I thought they said they were going to put
Piece
it
we
next.
want has not been determined.
Look up my road.
Yeah, that man's, was a tax man.
The driveway alone would be a budget killer. I already did. I wish they could. Trust me, if I had all the money, I'd just make it vanish.
I would just like to say that the vote to flush, as he said, the town hall was a lot closer than the vote against the food shelf getting the land.
Right. It was. 19 votes out of almost 100. Pretty good percentage. I'm happy with that.
So, here, yeah.
I don't want to get into this. I can say that the food shelf is not a function of the town of Alstead.
That's absolutely true.
All I'm going to say.
So my question to you, Tom, is, Tim, excuse me, is there any way we can win your support or are you totally against the food shelf?
What did she say if they're gonna leave out?
That we can earn your support for the food shelf.
Come on and join the conversation.
Is there any way we can earn your support for the food shelf to be in the town of Alstead?
Not the way it's presently structured, no.
Okay.
And
I don't know.
That's fine, that's fine, that's fine. I appreciate your honesty, and that's actually a lot simpler because you have no demands, those are much easier to meet.
Okay, you offered your 2 cents.
that was the information I wanted to thank you.
But for you two guys,
He knows where you stand.
there's still an opportunity if we can do some basic planning and work towards something. First thing is go out there and go, this spot, what about that spot? What do you think of that? And then we can go from there. That's a reasonable starting spot, is it not?
I think if there was a lot more planning, yeah, and
Well, I'm going to try to narrow it down, but we're going to start with the spot. And let's try to say, okay, that's not a crazy spot, Mike. Let's talk about that.
So is this an appropriate, well, like I said, is this a point where we should bring the planning board into this conversation?
Yeah, I mean, the planning board and all that's fine. We're dealing with Mr. Beam's committee. We're dealing with the board of, and we're gonna go speak to the ABC folks. I'm trying to meet as many interests as humanly possible, but
Well, I'm trying to narrow it down to the people that
I'm with
I
you.
think would provide the input to us that we would need to make a decision amongst ourselves to then recommend to the public and hold some public hearings on and possibly take it to another warrant,
Well,
or possibly not.
and I would
don't
be
know.
curious to see what Southwest Regional Planning had to say too.
In regards to what?
Well, just their professional opinion about that space and the town and what its potential uses and marketability and
From a master plan.
from a master plan perspective, yeah. I mean, we pay them and they're good at what they do and they'd be curious to have their input.
You have the experience there, is that worth bringing them in for? I don't know.
I was hired years and years and years ago, 15, 20 years ago, to put an industrial building over there. And we were doing fine until we realized that an industrial building needed to pay sprinklers. And there was no town water, and so
Or three-phase.
fire insurance it was so extraordinarily expensive on an industrial building, we couldn't go forward with it. It's a wonderful site for commercial, some sort of light industrial commercial development, but no. Well, it could be.
Yeah.
And
SVE did some work. I mean, they blocked it up for four houses. I mean, it was after the flood, and we thought there were people who were still going to need houses. And everybody ended up finding a house, thankfully, but they did do some basic work. But, like I say, Southwest Regional just look at it and go, the town your size, considering your demographics, blah, blah, blah.
the other thing,
These are the things we want to consider.
it's in the floodplain. Even though it didn't flood during the 05 flood, it still is considered in the floodplain. So any mortgage or whatever you get on anything that you have over there is going to be subject to the floodplain insurance, which is becoming onerous. And it's really, it doesn't mean that the site's undevelopable, but it does limit to what you can do with it.
You can appeal that designation.
I can tell you, with the experience that I've had, I've seen no one succeed in doing that.
Yeah, well, the new maps, actually, I have seen a couple people succeed because the new maps as of a couple of years ago, FEMA themselves even admit that one of the grand mistakes they made, they took into consideration is elevation. It sounds kind of odd that you wouldn't take that into consideration in a flood map, but if you look at the new online maps, so.
All right, so I guess facing us is a question of whether we want to try to move this forward at some pace or whether we just want to chew on it. I'm all in favor of trying to get some people that are more knowledgeable about this sort of thing than myself to look at it, because I don't know.
Because, I mean, there's a fair opportunity that no matter what you said, I would still try. But it sure would be nice if we worked together than the other way around. That would be my main goal, is to try to work together versus, well, not. And then be here again next year in the same position, really. You'd be in the same position.
What we've done is gone out and bought something, and I'm trying to figure out what to use it for.
Yeah.
And that's backwards.
Yeah, and
It wasn't when we bought it though.
in my mind, I mean, but I don't know if it's feasible, but if you could sell off parcels and then lease part of it, then the town, to Marge's point, could get some return on its investment, we hope. And we get things moved over onto the tax base, some portion of it, as opposed to where it's at now, which is not.
You've got such limited frontage that you can't really get any.
So for the next couple of weeks, I'm gonna look into cost and timing of a traffic study, and I'm gonna spend some time stomping around out there with the deed, trying to figure out where the basic lines are and come up with a potential spot and go at this one. And talk to you guys about it, and we'll move on from there.
That's absolutely fine. I'm not sure that moves the ball down the field in one direction or the other.
And we won't until we
Okay.
try.
Okay, well,
They got a kicker, they got a kick. Right?
okay.
Okay.
I will tell you, when that was first bought, there were a lot of thoughts. There was a thought for a covered bridge, and the abutments were in, and the state paid for putting them in.
And if you talk to the people that put the money aside, and even Rich Delavanco, part of that was, Alan Johnson put money in there, he put it in there for a reason, and the food shelf was the reason. The tractor dealer from Walpole didn't give a rat's keys to whether or not Alstead ended up with that land. That's why he did it. That's why he did it.
There was a lot of them that went in on that.
So,
Okay.
People
that was
from out of
that
town.
was his expectation.
So then with no objections, do we mind if Mike goes ahead with what he's enunciated? I have no issue with it. Okay. Go for it.
Thanks.
We'll talk about it more, I'm
All
sure.
right, thank you.
Thank you.
I just have a quick question, Chris. You just mentioned something about the land, bringing in some taxes, but do the nonprofit pay taxes? I mean, I don't know.
Well, my theory is if you have 16 acres and if you were able to parcel off, say 12 of it to put that onto the tax rolls, then you're getting more. If you put 1 acre into the tax rolls, you're getting more out of it than you are now.
They were going to, after the flood, I think I don't know how far we've come on the road in. I do remember the SPE came over and did, I think it was 5 building lots. So I would assume that we must have gone to the state must have okayed it because it was gonna be a grant.
Oh, that's right. I
And
remember
that's
that.
how the other ones got the money for the houses that they did put up. They didn't put them over there, but they put them, and I think now probably most of them are all written off now, because they had like 5 or 10 years.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we've talked that. Mike's gonna move forward with a couple things he wants to look at. That's a start. And then we can, I think amongst, we'll tap your institutional memory as to what the history of that is, and I just don't know.
Because it was through Southwest that was writing the grants for us. I remember that, it was Matt.
They like their grants. All right. So, without objection, we'll move on. All right. Any old business we want to discuss?
We got 2 bids for
Oh, right.
the posts at the
Oh, really?
firehouse.
So, 2 in addition to what we had before?
No.
We didn't have any
I
of
tried to
that. We went
get,
back and we
This
didn't
is
have
the
any.
entrance.
this is a little.
Yeah, oh, I know what you're talking about. But
I tried to get him, but he was headed to Albuquerque.
Okay, so we have 2 bids here. We tried to get more than that, but we got at least 2.
Correct.
Do we want to, have we looked at these with enough detail to award one?
I would think so, because he has.
Okay. Did you go over both bids? Somebody did, okay. And they're substantially equivalent other than the price?
Yep.
Okay. Then you want to award?
Seems as though Lindsay Livingood has a
Okay,
better price.
then,
And he could do it Friday or Saturday.
all right.
What the bids?
The first bid is from Lindsay Livingood for replace the post holding up the roof, or not holding up the roof, at the front right corner of the Alstead Village Fire Station. His cost in labor and materials is $400. The second bid is from Kevin Davis Construction. Job remove existing, I'm just looking for any, using fresh treated posts and Aztec trim. So Aztec is a fiber plastic.
That was if he didn't use the Aztec.
Okay, gotcha, okay. So his low price, which is closest to this, is $808. And I'm just looking for anything else. But I agree, it seems like, Lindsay Living Good gets the bid for $400. Excellent. Jesse?
Good.
In the door.
Yeah.
Working on giving a quote for a new door.
Correct.
The little door.
The little one.
How about a chair?
We may get that repaired before it falls and hits you. We've
You
all
can see how things fall around.
Alright.
Go ahead, you wanna go, it's old business, right?
Yes.
Okay, we were talking about Jesse using the office in the fire station. Maybe that in here.
We could do that. I guess this is old business. I'm not sure if we've discussed it here, but it's been discussed. There's an office in the East Station.
Village.
No, Village. Go ahead. Why don't you guys explain the situation?
Yeah.
Please, go ahead.
Jesse wants to have a office in the village station, and there's a little spot over there.
We just need to, Kim needs proper office and I need proper office.
Yeah.
We just have no office space. So, however that can be accomplished, I mean, we're pseudo sharing kind of an office. I just think it would be easier, there's a line on the floor where there looks like there was a wall or something at some point. Maybe we could just stick a little wall up in between there and we each have separate lockable offices or whatnot.
So you're.
Can you use that down there? Mike?
Not very much, more for storage than as an office.
Well, why would you need a wall?
Well, because he has personnel and sensitive files, as do I. That's my biggest concern for needing an office is I need a place to have secure things.
If he's using it for storage, what are the files there for?
Yeah.
I have no files that I need to secure, they're all in here. Because when that was broken into before, we decided to move everything out of there.
Understand. So, what available space do we have for office? Talking about the cubby in between the front and the back, or just the, sort of the break room area? I'm talking about the village.
Just the front.
Okay.
The front. I do have some things that need to be secured. And
Okay.
some high dollar.
He doesn't know where the old selectman's office is. Is that what he's talking about, the old selectman's office? No.
Well, the old police station.
Yeah, it is the old selectmen's office,
What's
the
the
town
side
clerk.
Do you have any objection with him using that for an office?
I just need storage. I mean, it's basically been a shared office since we took it over. Since the police department moved out of there, however long ago that was. That even predates me as chief.
It's just basically the storage thing is what's killing everybody.
Okay,
There's no room for storage.
Is there another place that stuff could be stored?
Yeah, if he moves his stuff out of the east station.
Do you have stuff in the East Station you can move out?
No.
Actually,
That's the trouble.
Actually, Kim, to go with that, Austin was doing that tonight. Bringing the cabinets. Brought one of the cabinets down.
So my proposal is if I could have the big cabinet in the office, I would get rid of all of our stuff off the floor and just have the footprint of where the ambulance is parked.
Is that agreeable with you?
Yeah.
But we're happy with that, aren't we?
I'm just waiting for these two to work out a solution. Does that work?
Yeah.
Work for everybody?
Yes. And we'll move all of our things into there, and then you can have all of the rest of it. It's just,
See how easy that is?
We good?
I haven't had any issues with it. This is the first I've heard about it.